Holywood Town is a seaside settlement that lies on the County Down shore of Belfast Lough, about 20 minutes drive from Belfast city centre. The settlement's origins go back 9,000 years, but its notable recorded maritime trade history begins with the arrival of the Anglo-Normans by sea and eventually includes a visit from King John of England himself in July 1210. Just across Belfast Lough is the finest preserved Norman castle on the whole island, Carrickfergus, with its own harbour. Looking out to sea each day, working residents of this former boat-building town are familiar with the ships, tugs and distinctive orange pilot boats which ply the shipping channel day and night. These service cargo ships, ferries and tankers, carriers of goods and people from across the Irish Sea and across the world. We begin our journey with coxswain Jim Maxwell from Antrim and Gordon Baker from Killyleagh, taking veteran Belfast Harbour pilot Liam McGee to the Queen Victoria cruise liner. We are on Pilot Boat 4, also known as PB4. That's Holywood Town on the distant shoreline.
Okay, well, so we go when we enter the harbour. Okay, we are the bus, so enter the channel in 5 minutes.
Just thinking I was only...
The Queen Victoria appears on the horizon.
We're going to repair key.
We're going to repairs.
But I will need lifted off yet.
The coxswains pass this giant cruise ship in PB4 before sweeping in from the stern to line up with the hull door, which will give our pilot access to the ship. Close up, the sheer scale is apparent.
So is that up on the port side? Do you want to clip on that thing?
Contact is made with the hull by one coxswain, while the other secures a rope ladder for our pilot. It's good, and Liam McGee climbs on board the Queen Victoria within seconds. Now we pull away from the ship and head toward the next objective, collecting another Belfast Harbour pilot who is on board a cargo ship leaving the harbour and sailing into the shipping channel. Whatever way you observe the Queen Victoria, she's a beauty.
Approaching number 4 and should be leaving channel 552.
The coxswains and pilot on board the cargo ship liaise with each other and the harbour-bound VTS controllers by radio. VTS stands for Vessel Traffic Services. One coxswain now on deck to meet the ship and one at the wheel. There's our pilot passenger and accompanying crew from the ship. It's all about safety. We connect with the hull, the transfer is made and a cheery pilot, Ian Davis from Glengormley, joins us on board. Now it's back to the harbour on the shipping channel. It's not all about the big ships. Competent sailors arriving in their small vessels make a welcome sight. That's a Queen Victoria in the distance. She's returned to the harbour after sea trials in the Irish Sea. Maintenance has been ongoing at the repair quay. There's McLaughlin's tugs, the subject of our previous Belfast Harbour episode. Pilot Ian Davis is left ashore at the pilot office before we head for the dedicated jetty further into the harbour.
Let's imagine the ship's coming to Belfast. That's all set up by the agent and the ship owners, obviously. Coming into the port, the VTS and the port operations people. Port operations will organise the ship visit, what berth, etc., allocate where it's going, create the facilities for it. The agent will then liaise with the port operations. As the ship actually arrives in Belfast, then you're looking at the VTS operators, and they will, like our traffic control on the water, and they will coordinate that ship to get in and out of the port as efficiently as possible. We become part of that process by going out to the ship, climbing on board, taking the conduct of the vessel, and then bringing it alongside. To bring it alongside, we either utilise tug power or the ship's facilities, and when it gets alongside, we'll have the linesman taking the lines and putting the ship, tying the ship up. The ship's crew are obviously all part of the team on the bridge and liaising with the tugs of all sorts in Belfast. It's all just one big team to be able to get that ship in and out as efficiently and safely as possible. Every single ship I go on is a learning curve. About 3 weeks ago, someone said to me, "That was an excellent job, Mr. Pilot, well done." The next day I made a complete Horlicks of exactly the same manoeuvre, and he didn't say anything, but I knew. So every day is a learning curve, and any day that someone tells you, "I'm really good at this, I'm a good pilot," that's when fate will step in and bring your ego right back down to basics. I'm the only existing pilot in Belfast. Everyone else is from the outskirts, from Lough and Carrick and Bangor and whatever. So there was one other guy from North Belfast, but no, I'm the last remaining Belfast pilot. We've got 12 pilots in total. There are 2 on a watch day shift, 2 on night shift, and we have standby men as well. At any one time right now we have 2 on duty, and we could have another one here within 2 hours. We could have another one here if I'd given them 24 hours notice. So potentially 4 at any one stage. Pilot boats, 2 on the water and then 1 on the hard. That means it's up on the rack doing maintenance or whatever, and then the 2 boats alternate between use. Shell tankers, 13 years as a deck officer. I left when I was chief mate at 30. Used to go away for 5 or 6 months at a time. Very hard on the family life, and like I say, I met my girlfriend when I was 16. Going away for 5 or 6 months at a time was hard on both of us, so I didn't like it. But it was always the path to getting a better career. So, and she knew that more than I did. She was actually the one who forced me to stay at sea. I would have left many years earlier. So she was quite wise in that respect. When you're at sea for 13 years and you want to go ashore, the pilotage is the way to go. For your qualifications, etc., this is certainly the most appropriate job. Tall ships were fascinating. They were lovely. You meet some really interesting people. The lovely big Portuguese boats, the Brazilian ships, the Chilean Navy when they climb the mast and whatever. That was brilliant. I really enjoyed the tall ships. The Navy ships, when they come, we get them from everywhere. Canada, Turkey, and getting on board those ships and seeing how they all work. It's really interesting. And then obviously the large cruise liners. These are the largest ships that have ever been in this port, so it's good to be able to say that you've been involved with that sort of thing. Fortunately, I've been involved in all the interviews with everyone that's here. And that's how long I've been here. So part of the interview is seeing if this person would fit into our little club. Most civilians wouldn't understand what a pilot is, what he does, what way he works. So these guys coming in have to realise that they're fitting into a little family. And for me to bring someone in and disrupt that is a big issue. So we have to be very careful of our selection process. And sometimes it's gut instinct, feeling that someone will fit in. Obviously, all the qualifications and the experience, etc., are necessary. But there's just that little niche which says someone won't fit in here. To consider it a busy day, I would do 4 or 5 ships myself. The other pilot would do the same. So you're looking at 10 ships, and that would fill up a 10-hour or 12-hour shift. Obviously, it's not that busy every day, but that would be considered a good day. It's actually still a very traditional thing to do. We've not been taken over by large corporations or anything like that. Fortunately, we are run as a trust port by the Belfast Harbour Commissioners, and as a consequence, the port comes first and foremost, and any additional surplus goes back into the port. And you can see that this port is modern, well maintained and well dredged. That is a model for many ports around the UK which are not. So captains, etc., when they come here, are very pleased with our facilities, how well the place is laid out, how good the fenders are, etc. They're always commenting that it's nice and safe for the vessels to come alongside with nice fendering. Some places will just have a wall or a quay, and that is not forgiving on a ship coming in and out every day. Effectively, the Belfast Harbour Commissioners run the port for the benefit of the people of Belfast and the surroundings. And if they make a surplus, that doesn't go to shareholders running, that goes back into the port. So there's always a reinvestment. If the port's successful, then the port will reinvest that and become more successful if the formula is right. And that's what's been happening. Certainly in the 27 years that I've been here, it's been very successful. And we're getting more ships than ever. I know that in the last year, the pilotage went up by 30%. We find ourselves a lot busier. And even through the recessions and whatever, we took a hit then, but the port has bounced back and it's been far more successful than it's ever been. I would say this is a model port. All ports are different, but personally I like the model of this one, and I think it works well. We have a nice relationship with all the commissioners and the managers, and that is something that you will not find in a lot of ports. This is good. As soon as the Good Friday Agreement was signed, Belfast then needed to advertise itself as a safe port for tourists, and that process built up very slowly over the years, with a few introductory visits and a few speculative visits by ships, until one by one or bit by bit it grew and grew until we were nearly expecting 200 cruise liner visits in a particular season. They make a big impact on the busyness of the port. Frightening as every day. That's just being a pilot. Intriguing. The most interesting thing is meeting the captains and working with people. You will always get into scrapes as a pilot. The fact that you don't know my name or people don't know my name means I've been successful, because when I get it wrong or we get it wrong, you will know all about it in the press. It's nothing that we can hide. So we've been reasonably successful, and the interactions are the most interesting. Last winter was not so bad, but the winter before and before that was just a string of storms and storms. and we were getting on a regular basis 60 knots outside, and the ships were backing up until we got to the stage where we actually had to start bringing them in, and that was quite good in the sense that it made us cope and be more capable in strong winds. So we got the practice, and then when the winds eventually came down to 20 knots or whatever, we considered a calm day. Today is what, 5-10 knots maximum, so 20 knots nowadays would be considered a little choppy. But the winds in Belfast are the biggest hazard. You can swing a ship and the wind will take you sideways very quickly, and that's not what you want to go. There are some family businesses, yes, that have been here since I've been here, and there are other ones that have gone by the wayside. The larger companies, the larger tug companies are multinational, well, certainly UK-wide, the larger ones that you would have seen, and the smaller tugs and the working boats, they'd be more family-based, and they've been here for quite a long time as well. Legacy? I don't know. People probably call me lucky. I'd like to remain lucky as long as I stay here, because we'd always say a lucky pilot is better than a very good pilot, because there are situations that pilots get into that all the skill in the world won't get you out of. No, it's when the ship meets the jetty. That's the important bit. Boats meeting other boats aren't so bad. Boats meeting solid objects, that's when damage really happens. I have been in that situation many times, and the fact that I'm a lucky pilot indicates that I haven't actually caused major damage as such, but I have been in that situation where I had that cold feeling in the pit of my stomach, and there's nothing you can do about it. I remember one situation where we were coming astern on a little ship, and the engines wouldn't go ahead to effectively brake us, so the ship was just heading straight for the rocks. And I just sat there. There was no tugs. It was too late to drop the anchors, so there's nothing we could do. The ship was going to go onto the rocks. Propeller first, which is maximum damage. Fortunately, just at the last minute, they got the engines back, and we were able to put the engines ahead and stop it going around. The captain said, "You're very calm, Mr. Pilot." Captain, when you're pooing yourself, I can't talk. I'm only doing it to beat the record, because the existing record is about 34 years. When a friend of mine called Norman McKinney, he came when he was 31, he left at 65, ergo 34 years. I came at 30. If I leave at 65, then I got 35 years, and that's just something I'd like to have as a legacy. If someone says, what do you want to do every day, I would say play five-a-side football. I'm 57 and my knees and my ankles are going, but I still love it. I still get a buzz out of it, and I play with my brothers and the same group of friends who played since we were in their 20s, so it's a big social thing as well. And so yeah, if that's a hobby, then that's what I would say I do. My name's Liam McGee. I'm a pilot, harbour pilot, and I've been here for 27 years.